Hello and welcome back to another video on Respect and to another edition of NXT Out of 10. Of course, the final episode before Christmas, so there was a festive atmosphere on this week's show. And yeah, a few interesting matches for the Speed Championship, the Women's US title on the line. But we started things off with Lola Vice versus Izzy Dame after the usual superstars shots arriving at the show. Vice made her way to the ring. Sean Spears was ringside at usual. Dame used her height and power to take control right away, but once Vice regained her composure, she started unloading on nervous drives. It may not have been the prettiest match, but their physicality helped make it feel more intense. Both competitors leaned into their strengths and put on a hard-fought battle. Both women worked hard to make each other look good. Even on the moves that didn't look smooth, they added enough energy to make it very effective. Vice grabbed Vice's foot to distract her so Dame could take control, but moments later, Paxley cut her way through the wall behind the crow's nest with a chainsaw and chased Spears out of the arena. Vice took advantage of the situation, nailing Dame with a spinning back fist to get the win. Jordan attacked Vice after a win and took her out of a series of kicks. Decent match and set up an intriguing feud, so yeah, I'll give it 6 out of 10. Before the break, Hale was shown thanking Jordan for standing up to her last week. When the show returned, a new North American champ came out to address the crowd. This win was never supposed to happen, but you could tell lots of people were happy with Hale. She spoke about how she's gotten so many opportunities and all led to this moment. She also gave Chase a little shout out. While she was delivering a little uneven in places, it was a solid enough promo, predictably interrupted by Blake Monroe, who looked like she hadn't slept in the last week. The former champion cried as she said it was an all mistake. She ended up decking Hall to kickstart a brawl. Security broke it up, but the rematch is of course set, and it'll be intriguing to see what happens. As the next match was Eli Knight from Evolve taking on Tavian Height in a speed tournament. Knight immediately hit a pair of drop kicks, followed by a moonsault second try in the first 30 seconds. Heights had a size advantage, so once he was back on his feet, he overpowered the young man. Knight got a ton of offense in time, but he took one risk too many and missed a moonsault. Height dropped him with a belly for the win. A short with all speed match style, but the energy was high in some fun spots as well, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to Obafemi and Leon Slater, who were set to fight on New Year's Eve for the North American champion, but this week they had a face-to-face. Femi spoke about how dominant he was in this year and how he's going to continue rolling over WWE. Slater talked about how he got into wrestling at a young age and knew how big the matches Femi was. Both men did a decent job, but it felt a bit pointless. It didn't really add anything and ended with a handshake. The next segment was Ricky Saints and Siobhan Evans in a ring with Ava and a handful of security guards who are obviously never going to keep the peace. Saints tried to justify his actions, but Evans wasn't having it. He called Saints jealous of his success and said he isn't good as he thinks he is. Evans recounted some of his recent accomplishments while saying Saints is already an afterthought. The young OG made a lot of good points and showed some good intensity in this segment. Ava put them for a singles match next week in hopes of ending this feud once and for all. It's short and sweet. It only needs to be a couple of minutes to the feud because they've obviously done a lot of them already. Saints seems to take a backseat and it allowed Evans to shine. So we then got Skylar Ray and Shalila Hill versus Stax and Ariana Grace in a mixed tag action. They were billed as a gimmick match, so both teams brought out some Christmas themed props to use. Hill and Ray interrupted Grace and Stax kissing under some mistletoe to kickstart the match. It was designed purely for comedy and entertainment. While it was still a wrestling match and some decent moments, it was by no means a 5-star affair. All 4 competitors brought enthusiasm to the bout. The crowd seemed to have fun with it, but it could have used a few more big spots. Putting aside how ridiculous it was, it had to be noticed Stax and Grace did a good job playing up to their heel comedy gimmicks. They were the part that made this funny, and the faces also did well too. The second half picked up a bit, and the both faces scored the victory on Ray, hit a frog splash on Grace for the win. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah, it's decent fun stuff. Before we then got Chase v King in the second speed tournament. Chase was sporting a protective mask and didn't have his students at ringside. He took control and scored a 1 count within the first 30 seconds. He kept King on the defence and was drilled with a super kick. Knight nailed a running knee on the back of a Chase head submission for a 2 count and escaped to submission. It came down to the last 30 seconds, but King secured the win to advance. A typical speed match, couple of good moves, but yeah, it's just too short. WWE needs to tinker if they want to keep the titles around because the matches, unfortunately for me, aren't really hitting at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. As we then moved on to the main event, Rooker challenging Green for the US Championship. Zarya, Ethan Page and Alba are all at ringside. Rooker started strong and had Green struggling to mount any offense. Within the first couple of minutes, they made this the best thing on the entire show. Rooker's a star in the making, and Green is one of the most reliable performers WWE has right now. Mixing their styles to give us a fun main event, highlighting both of their strengths. Moose showed up and attacked all ego towards the end. Fire helped Green take control with her finisher while the ref was distracted, which led to her getting the pin and retaining her title. Zarya hit Fire and Green with a spear before Rooker hit them both with a snarl snatcher to end the show on a high note. And overall, yeah, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Like I say, a really great match, probably right result, and yeah, stole the show. Overall, this show was mostly for best, I'd say, but it did some decent work building up to New Year's Eve. Of course, the really highlight was the main event, but before that, the matches weren't really great. Before that, speed titles maybe not clicking, but of course, I thought the Christmas comedy stuff was quite good as well. So overall, I'm going to go.
Guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, follow us on our socials, link in the description below for daily wrestling news, meme and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.